Pamela Jo Bondi. She is also someone who serves power. Pam Bondi served as the Florida Attorney General from 2011 to 2019. She aligned closely with conservative executive authority. She thought that the state governor should be in charge of everything. He's basically a dictator. She publicly defended high-profile political figures. If you were a high-profile political prisoner, you should be a political prisoner, a high-profile political operative or figure, and you needed help, and you could find her, and if you could afford her, you come after Pamela Jo Bondi. These days, she is a vocal legal defender in national political disputes, frequently framing investigations into executive conduct as partisan overreach. I watched her today over and over again say, why didn't you ask Merrick Garland that? They didn't have the Epstein Transparency Act to ask Merrick Garland. Now we have a law that says you're breaking it. She's like, don't ever accuse me of breaking the law. She's so righteously indignant. It's incredible. Man, did anybody? Oh, God, we're going to have to watch it again tomorrow. We're going to watch so much Pamela Jo Bondi this week. Pamela Jo Bondi. I'm sure she's going to be on the thumbnail for tomorrow's episode of Morning Sky. But here in After Dark, I've been thinking a lot about her. When does a legal officer defend an individual, and when do they defend the expansion of the executive insulation? To me, this is exactly why the legalist loyalist is so obvious, and why she's so much like Roy Cohn and Roberto Farinacci and Carl Schmitt. These people, there's always that role in every rise to fascism. You have to have someone whose loyalty is not to the law, but to the person who is wielding power. And Pamela Jo Bondi proves that over and over and over again. She does not care about the law. She does not care about America. They asked all of the victims of the Epstein scandal to stand up behind her and raise their hands. And when they did, she refused to turn her head to look at them. She doesn't want to look at the victims. She doesn't want to meet with the victims. She doesn't want to know about the victims. Why? Because she doesn't serve the victims. She serves this guy, Donald Trump. That's it. This is it. Everything goes from the law requires XYZ to this is illegitimate. No, you never asked anybody about the Clintons. How come you didn't? What about did anybody, like, how do you follow what she says? It's unbelievable. I watched so much of that hearing today, that testimony today. And it's shocking how obvious it is. The only thing that she cares about is interpreting the law to preserve power. That's all she cares about. That's all Farinacci cared about. That's all Carl Schmitt cared about. And that's all Roy Cohn cared about. And they were useful until they weren't. She's going to have the same thing. She doesn't have identical ideology. She didn't, as the other people. It's not an identical era. It just echoes through history. It's a structural echo of fascism. The regime, every regime that's like this, needs someone who can translate controversy into procedure, translate accountability into persecution, and translate immunity into stability. She literally said that if we went after every one of the Epstein files, it would collapse our system. I say, let's do it. Let's collapse the system then. If our system cannot exist, when we apply the law equally, then that's not a system worth keeping. And if you go after children, man, if you buy and sell children, I don't care how much money you have or what position you have or who will be hurt in the process, you should be held accountable. When I was looking at these images, man, I know they just seem like people standing next to each other, right? But these people fill a very important role in the rise of fascist regimes. It's indispensable during ascent. You must have someone like a Pam Bondi, but as soon as they don't need her anymore, as soon as it starts going down, she'll be the first one on the block. She'll be the first one in the wood chipper. The role is indispensable during ascent, but precarious during decline. Farinacci radicalized and enforced, then he was sidelined, then he was executed. Roy Cohn attacked and insulated, then he was disbarred, then he was abandoned, and then he died of an incurable disease with no friends. They made a movie about it called Angels in America. It's an HBO 2-part special. It was a stage play about Roy Cohn. And actually, what's his face? I'm blanking on his name. The guy, Al Pacino. Al Pacino plays him in the movie. Al Pacino plays him in the movie. Plays Roy Cohn, that melty guy. I can't remember if Donald Trump is in Angels America. Let's see real fast. Is there a character representing Donald Trump in Angels of America? While Donald Trump does not physically appear as a character in Tony Kushner's Angels of America, the play features Roy Cohn, the notorious lawyer and power broker who served as Trump's mentor and fixer in the 70s and 80s. Cohn, portrayed as a ruthless, power-hungry figure dying of AIDS, represents the political and ethical tactics that influenced Trump. Yeah. Donald Trump has literally said in his last administration, he said, "Where's my Roy Cohn?" That's so crazy too. Where's my Roy Cohn? People have reported him saying that because he didn't have someone loyal to him. He had people loyal to the law. Isn't that crazy? And now he found her. That's his Roy Cohn. The fact that this guy's lived so long is shocking to me. The legalist loyalist often believes proximity to power equals protection, but guess what? It never does. History suggests otherwise because power is transactional. The enforcer is valuable when consolidation is underway, but once stability or collapse arrives, the enforcer becomes a liability, and that's the deeper warning. Not about one person, but about a role. If we want to understand democratic erosion, we can't focus on the demagogue. We have got to watch the lawyers. That's why Shakespeare said, "First thing we'll do, let's kill all the lawyers." First thing we'll do, let's kill all the lawyers when we're king, because authoritarianism rarely abolishes the law; it just hires it. The law is ethics for hire. That's why everyone hates lawyers, man. They're just hired guns. History does not remember the legalist loyalist as a hero. It remembers them as a hinge. The street fighter starts the movement, and the lawyer makes it permanent. Damn.